September 19, 2025, the 81st United Nations General Assembly. The cameras swept across the hall, past rows of flags, polished marble, and the quiet murmurs of diplomats. The air felt heavy, charged, as if everyone sensed something unusual was about to happen. And then it did. Former U.S. President Donald Trump rose and took the podium. The hall stilled. Seasoned delegates leaned forward. What followed shocked even the most experienced observers. Trump unveiled a draft resolution that proposed placing the oil and gold of the Sahel under direct international control, a global mandate enforced by sanctions that would strip local governments of their authority over the very resources that sustain them. Africa's lifelines, its gold, worth more than $600 billion in today's markets, and its oil, poised to shape the future of energy, were treated like bargaining chips. In one stroke, centuries of struggle against colonial exploitation seemed to echo back into the chamber. Some delegates applauded politely. Others shifted uneasily in their seats. Many sat frozen, eyes wide with disbelief. This was not just a debate about economics. This was about sovereignty. Who decides the fate of nations? Who owns the right to Africa's wealth? That same night, thousands of miles away in Ouagadougou, the world's youngest head of state, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, appeared live on television. No marble backdrop, no carefully staged teleprompter. Just a soldier in fatigue speaking straight to the people. His words were not framed in technical language. They were raw, moral, and urgent. For him, this was not about contracts or clauses. This was about dignity, about sovereignty, about the meaning of freedom itself. In New York, polished diplomats recited phrases of law. In Africa, a young leader spoke of survival. And in that contrast, the world saw two visions collide: the empire of rules written in distant capitals, and the defiance of a continent tired of being spoken for. 4 charges against the UN Traoré did not waste time. He did not flatter the assembly with soft phrases. Instead, he leveled 4 clear accusations, each one like a hammer against the institution's polished facade. First charge: manipulated resolutions. He revealed how UN resolutions, supposedly the voice of the global community, are often drafted in advance by a small circle of powerful states. By the time African nations are invited into the room, the ink is already dry. Their amendments are sidelined, their voices drowned in procedure. In the last decade, over 70% of resolutions about global resources originated from the same handful of powers. Yet Africa, with its $6 trillion in untapped mineral wealth and 17% of the world's population, remains excluded from the drafting table. Traoré asked, how can 1 billion people be silenced, yet the rules still be called universal? Second charge: hypocrisy on human rights. The UN preaches morality while its most powerful members profit from war. In 2024 alone, the world spent $130 billion on arms sales, many of those weapons flooding into conflict zones in Africa. Meanwhile, humanitarian appeals for the continent raise less than $4 billion. Speeches about peace are delivered at noon. Weapons contracts are signed by nightfall. Traoré asked, are human rights still principles, or have they become commodities? He pointed to a pattern. The language of stabilization and oversight often precedes foreign troops, contracts, and concessions. Crises in Africa become opportunities for extraction dressed in humanitarian language. The suffering of civilians in the global south becomes a stage for deals, while abuses in powerful nations vanish behind vetoes and immunity. Third charge: the Security Council's injustice. With calm defiance, Traoré turned to the structure of the Security Council. 193 nations sit under the UN's flag, yet 5, just 5, hold veto power that can erase the will of billions. Africa, with 1.4 billion people, contributes peacekeepers, resources, and billions in GDP. Yet no African nation holds a permanent seat. Decisions on war, sanctions, and peace are made without them. This is not democracy, Traoré declared. It is selective governance by an exclusive club. He asked, if 5 signatures can silence an entire continent, is this justice or privilege? Fourth charge: double standards in international law. Finally, Traoré struck at the heart of global hypocrisy. When Ukraine was invaded, the UN moved with speed. Resolutions drafted within days. Billions in aid mobilized. Humanitarian corridors secured. But when Gaza burned, paralysis ruled. Resolutions watered down. Aid delayed until it was meaningless. Families starved while debates dragged on. A child's life does not lose value because of a passport, Traoré said. A mother's tears do not weigh less because of geography. He asked, if one law can have two faces, can it still be called law? Or is it merely the mask of dominance? A moral verdict, not a legal debate. What shook the assembly most was not just the accusations themselves, but the way Traoré delivered them. He did not shout, he did not insult. He stripped away illusions layer by layer until even the marble walls of the chamber seemed to echo with contradictions. His voice carried both restraint and fire, dismantling the myth of neutrality the UN clings to. His words rose above Burkina Faso. They spoke for every nation reduced to a checkbox in someone else's ledger. Every people treated as statistics in a report. Every continent told to wait while others decide his fate. And then came the line that will be remembered for years. If law changes with the flag, it is not law. If lives are valued differently, it is not justice, a turning point. The reaction was electric. Some delegates clapped cautiously, afraid to endorse too much truth. Others stood and applauded thunderously, mostly from Africa, the global south, and small island nations long ignored. But in Washington, Paris, and Brussels, diplomats whispered. They called it destabilizing, dangerous, too radical. Yet the question lingered. What is more destabilizing than law applied unevenly? What corrodes peace more than justice divided by geography? Traoré had not broken the world order. He had simply revealed its fractures, Africa's defiance. He ended with clarity, not anger. Africa bows to no one, he said, but Africa also asks no one to bow. We demand only one law for all. It was not a threat. It was a demand for fairness, for transparency, for honesty. Authority has meaning only when it bends toward life, he declared. If power loses that compass, it loses all legitimacy. His gaze did not linger on governments, but seemed to look past them, toward ordinary people, mothers, workers, students across Africa and beyond. He left the world with a choice: one humanity, one justice, or a future where law is nothing but a mask for power. This was not just a speech. It was a mirror, a reckoning, a reminder that history does not belong to those who dominate, but to those who dare to speak truth when silence is safer. And the final question, still unanswered, still echoing: will the world choose standards or sides?